Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. And our first one comes from Wary Match 4653. Am I the beehole for not being happy that my parents invited my son to my welcome party? I'll try to make everything as easy to understand as possible. But of course, I can answer questions if I have to. So, when I, a 29-year-old male, was 21, I got a scholarship to study in Japan. I was a college student in the US. I was very excited to go. However, a girl I was seeing ended up pregnant. We were not together, but were exclusive. Of course, I didn't want a baby with my friends with benefits, and also it would ruin my opportunity to go to Japan. I begged her to have a B-board virgin, you know what it is, since why would any of us want that baby? We were definitely not committed to each other. We had discussed aberberders before, as many as other subjects, so I knew that she wouldn't have a problem with aberberdersions. However, she decided that she was going to keep the baby. I told her that honestly I didn't want to be a father, but that I'll wait until the baby's birth because maybe I'll feel different then. I didn't change my mind when the baby was born, so we agreed that I wouldn't be an active father, but I'll fulfill my responsibilities. I had to cancel my trip to Japan to get a better job, so I could pay child support. Thankfully, my parents also helped me, so I moved in with them. I almost had to drop out of college, but thankfully, I was able to graduate. I still wanted to go to Japan, so when one of my ex-classmates moved in there to work, I asked him to let me know if there were any vacancies at his company. I got a job there and moved in October 2019. Ever since, I couldn't come back to America because of the coof, and also because of the rhythm of work here is harder. So, I was always working and trying to advance my career. Of course, I continued sending money for my son. Well, the thing is that I have a vacation now, and I traveled for Thanksgiving. I got there a week prior to Thanksgiving, and my parents prepared a welcome party with our family and friends. They apparently got close to my son when I was not there, and they invited him and his mother. To be honest, I don't have any problems with them, but we don't have a close relationship either. When I went to the backyard, where the guests were, I greeted them both, but I was feeling awkward and we didn't talk much. When everyone left, my parents told me off because they expected me to be way happier about seeing my son. We got into a bit of an argument, and now my mother and father are upset at me for being so cold. I don't understand why they expect me to be happier. I don't know my son too much. He wasn't very excited to see me either. But it's been far too long, and they're still upset. I need some outsider POV, since my friends are agreeing with me, but they might be doing it just not to argue with me. Edit. I'm sorry I didn't realize this was not clear in the post, but I did not kick my son or his mom out of the party. They stayed until the end, I greeted them, I asked him about his school and his martial arts classes, and he told me he's doing fine. So, I congratulated him. His mother hasn't texted me at all to tell me that the kid's sad after seeing me. Hi OP, you're not the beehole and I gotta agree with your friends, and I'm not agreeing with you just to keep the peace because I do not know you. It's like you said, you didn't have a relationship with your son or his mother, so we're kind of meeting a stranger, and I don't know how you act with strangers, but I don't act buddy buddy and chummy chummy with them. And same thing with your kid. He doesn't really know you. He's meeting a new person pretty much, kinda. And I know why the reason your parents are getting pissy is because they spent time with him, so they see him and your and his mom as family. I thought it could have, from what you've told me, their interaction with your son, it could have went worse. You guys could have been fighting and screaming. It just sounds like some small talk, and like, okay, that's cool, and then that's it. I don't know why they expected more. I don't know why they expect you to start gushing, like you said when you're back in the day. You didn't want a kid, so I don't know what your parents were expecting, but no, I don't think you're the beehole. And I think you handled everything just fine. And our next one comes from Russian Frustrations. Am I the beehole for being more excited for my daughter-in-law's pregnancy than my daughter's? I feel awful, but things are what they are. I'm 55 years old woman, and my son, D, a 26-year-old male, and his wife, J, a 30-year-old female, announced to me over Thanksgiving that they are expecting their second child in 6 years. My husband, a 65-year-old male, and I were ecstatic because J has endometriosis. I believe that's how you say it. And having children is a struggle for her. She has one 4-year-old son, Grayson, with my son, and he has a daughter from a failed relationship. Sarah, age 6. They also have 2 adopted children, Tim, age 8, and Gregory, age 7, who are foster kids that they're taking care of. For clarity, she was already a foster parent when they met because she thought she couldn't have kids, and these boys have no family to reunite with. They are all a happy family, and they all love each other. My son is a businessman and is making very good money, and she is a hairdresser. They live quite comfortably. My daughter, B, a 28-year-old female, is a librarian, and her husband, K, is a construction worker. Here's the problem. My son and his wife announced their pregnancy. Jay was crying and told me she was having a second son, and they were going to name him Dustin, because it meant thunderstone and lightning struck twice given to her healthy boys. We were thrilled, and my son cried. Then my daughter, B, who always likes to be the center of attention, clears her throat and says, I'm pregnant too. 9 kids and counting. And I froze. My daughter, for context, is not well off, although middle class, and she's always hoping to get on TV or some version or other. The next Kate Gosselin, she says. I congratulated my daughter, who then cheered. 3 more, and I'll be catching up to you, Mom. I laughed that off and asked my daughter-in-law if she needed anything essential. Or so, my daughter and her husband, Kay, a 30-year-old male, felt ignoring their happy news. And I told her that while yes, I am happy for her, this was a huge moment for Jay, and she could have told me privately that she did not always have to be the focus of every family event. B rolled her eyes and said that Jay having fertility issues did not make her baby any less important than her own. I agreed and told her that while that is true, Jay having struggled and suffered problems for years with her first husband, including 4 miscarriages, not my son, did in fact make this quite an occasion. Kay rolled his eyes and said that she wasn't special for having an N-word baby. Jay is black, and I lost it. I made them both leave immediately. While B called me an uncaring beehole and a terrible grandparent, my husband, son, and daughter-in-law were on my side, saying that it was their moment, and I agree, but was I the beehole? Should I have been more excited for my daughter? Well, B, you are not the beehole. Those ghouls are the beehole. Why are you... Yo, they're racist? They're okay. So they want to be the next Kate Gosselin. You don't want to be that. They sound like those type of people who just spit out kids on YouTube so they can make money off of their children on YouTube, and it's gonna suck for those kids when that bubble bust. And on top of that, they're racist. Holy crap! No, you are not the beehole. If I were you, I would never let them enter my abode again. And yeah, you're right. I'm gonna be more excited for the person who's been having a really hard time to get pregnant versus the person who has like 20 kids. Yeah, that's all. This is a pretty crazy story. Yeah, not the beehole. Congratulations on getting pregnant. The other ones, those are ghoul demons. You keep them away from you if you can. I don't know. One of them's your kid. I get it, but whoa, you raised the doozy. Yes, you did. Our next one comes from Top Reserve 9853. Am I the beehole for painting a curse word on the wall of my friend's new home? My friend and his wife just bought their first home. It's a fixer-upper, and I've been helping them out with the fixing. My father was a handyman and a contractor, so I have a lot of skills and experience with doing maintenance, repairs, and upgrades on the house. I also have pretty much all the tools I need to do most of the work. This last weekend, I was helping paint the dining room. I had almost everything set up the way I wanted, and I was ready to go. For some effing reason, his wife decides to let their dogs into the room I'm painting. One of them steps in the roller tray and then jumps on me. His wife laughed it off like it was not a big deal that I had paw prints on me. I also had to throw out the primer because it now had mud in it. I had told them both to let me do my work in peace. After I prepared a new tray of paint, I wrote the F word in huge letters on the wall in primer. For those of you who may not know, primer is the coat of paint that you put down before the actual paint. For lack of a better word, it sticks to the wall better. When it dries, it creates a better surface for the paint to stick. His wife saw it and freaked. She said I was drawing profanity in her house. I told her it was primer and to stay out of my way. Then I finished the job and went home. My friend called me and said that I had upset his wife with my childishness. and that she would not let me back until I apologized. I asked him what I was apologizing for. He said that I wrote a curse word on his wall. I asked him to provide a picture. He said he couldn't since I had painted over it. I asked what the problem was. Since the word wasn't there anymore, he said that I needed to apologize. I said that him wanting me to apologize was in no way the same as me needing to apologize. He said that I could not come back until I did. No problem for me. I was helping them for free on my weekends off from work. He called me 2 days later and asked if I was coming to finish the painting, since I would be away for work for 3 weeks. I said I wasn't ready to apologize yet, and maybe I would when I got back. I probably won't. Now she's telling everyone that I'm a crappy person for leaving a job half finished. I tell everyone who asks that I was working for free and that they told me not to come back. Now, there is a big fight in our friend group between the people who think I should keep the peace and the people who think she's being an entitled whiner. No one else is volunteering to help at their house. And now, either they have to half A-word the job or pay someone else. I'm getting hell for that too. Hi, OP. I'm gonna say you're not the beehole. That's actually really nice of you giving up your time to paint for free. You know how expensive it is to get someone to paint? You know how not fun it is to paint a room? And you got them over here ruining your paint. That has to, paint ain't cheap, sending their dog to stomp around. Why would she do that? Why does she let the dog in the room when she knows you're working with paint? Either she's stupid or she's just doing that to be a bee. And your friend sounds like a goober, and his wife is a stuck-up, prudish goober, because they're over here getting mad at you writing a curse word on the wall that you can't even see because it's primer, and then they want to get all hoity-toity and stuck up and tell you to apologize after she ruined your paint and wasted your time and ruined your clothes. Who knows? I assume you're in painter's clothes, but you might have been over there in some, decent jeans and a t-shirt working. That sucks losing a pair of jeans like that. They're not cheap. And I love how they got you over there doing it for free, and they're like, oh yeah? Well, if you won't apologize, you can't come back and work for us for free. Like, that's a threat. Man, that ain't your friend, man. And, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Screw 'em. Go do your work and take your days off, man. Stop wasting your time on people like that who don't appreciate you. And our final one comes from PlayfulBit2778. Am I the beehole for telling my stepmom she's pathetic and doesn't get to boss around my mom? My parents divorced when I, a 15-year-old male, was 5 and my sister was 3. For a while during the post-divorce, my dad was trying really hard to win my mom back. I remember he would use my sister and my upset about the divorce. For me, it was hard to go from our family being together to 2 separate homes and families. For my sister, the upheaval was hard for her. She really couldn't get used to bouncing from home to home. Throughout all of that, Mom did her best to shield us, and eventually she must have hated my dad's guts. For all of the stunts he pulled, she kept some photos of him and our family from before up in the house. My sister and I felt reassured seeing them, even though she didn't remember those times. I think it made her feel a little bit more okay with how confusing it all was, and Dad only made it worse. Dad gave up on them getting back together eventually, and he insisted on everything at his house be from him, and not from Mom, and we could not have photos of Mom in the house. I was 8 when he met my stepmom. I'm not sure how soon she found out that Mom still had photos up before, but it became a huge deal for her, and she told my mom she was not allowed photos of her man in Mom's house. My mom remarried when I was 10. We have a few photos of my stepdad's ex-wife at home and some from when he was married to her. And my siblings were young. This is especially important to them because their mom is terminally ill with a condition that makes her unable to take care of them. I think it's something to do with her brain. There are still photos of Dad at Mom's too. I'm less into it now that I feel worse about what Dad did, but my sister still feels comforted by them, and Mom always says he'll still be our dad/our family, and she wants it to be in our home as much as everyone else who lives there. The wall where these photos are is where Mom takes a lot of our back to school photos. My stepmom found out they were still up and went nuts on my mom a few months ago. She told my mom she had to do what she says, etc. It was insane. My mom told her to mind her business, and if she stays out of her home, she doesn't have to see or worry about them. My stepmom went on a rant about Mom a few days ago, and she was like, how dare your mom not do what I tell her, and take the photos of my husband down. I told my stepmom she's pathetic for being so bothered that my mom was a good enough mom to accept photos of our dad for our sake, and that she doesn't get to boss my mom around. I also told her to leave my mom alone because none of this had anything to do with her. She told me I did not get to speak to her that way. I told her that if she thinks she's earning my respect with how crappy she is, then she's even more pathetic than I thought. It's been a few rough days. My dad and stepmom both say I was beyond disrespectful. Am I the beehole? Hi, OP. You are not the beehole. Your mom sounds like a saint for having pictures of your dad up like that. It doesn't sound like he's a great guy. And for your stepmom, way to be the cliche, the wicked stepmom. And that whole part about you being beyond disrespectful, jeez, she thinks a little too much of herself. And she really does. She thinks she can dictate and boss around someone who doesn't even live with her. That woman does not sound great. She sounds like she's very high on herself. Also, good for you for sticking up for your mom like that, to that evil goober ghoul creature. Looking down in the comments, I'm gonna agree with pre-med girl. Not the beehole. Your stepmom sounds like a beehole. It's really none of her business what your mom does in her home, and clearly both parties have moved on, so it shouldn't be a big deal. I agree. No, but seriously, OP, sounds like you got a great mom. Keep her safe and keep her protected. Especially from that cretinous creature. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.